So, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stonks Maxxing. This is day 183, and today we'll be reading a book called The Handbook of Fixed Income Securities by Frank Fabozzi. He was a professor, I think still is a professor in finance, and can't talk. And he wrote what is, I guess, today known as the Bible of fixed income securities. So let's dive into it. I was able to read a few chapters. I shouldn't say a few chapters, a few pages already. I want to focus on the distressed companies chapter today. I find it's the most interesting, and it's written by a senior analyst at the time from Pacific Investment Management Company, otherwise known as PIMCO. Let's get right into it. What is the defining regulation in the U.S. around bankruptcy? Give some context on the time period and its purposes. So defining regulation in the U.S., I think, came from the 1976 era with President Jimmy Carter. And this was the reform to the Bankruptcy Protection Act, something along those lines. And this kind of set the stage. It defined the modern bankruptcy laws that govern practice today. I think there's two purposes of it. The first one was to create a streamlined process and a consistent process for companies that are filing for bankruptcy. I think it introduced this idea of Chapter 1 through 15, of different types of bankruptcies and what you need to do. And then the second purpose, kind of building off the first, is to build a framework for how to deal with the bankruptcy process. Okay, Bankruptcy Reform Act of 1978. Okay, 1978. So it's close, not exact. What other things happened in 1978? So Jimmy Carter was president. I guess also the last thing that I do remember around the same time, 1983. I should say maybe even 1974. That's when the Intel 8080 chip was released, I believe. So that helped spur a lot of the PCs as we know it today. So that's pretty interesting. The Bankruptcy Reform Act of 1978, signed by President Carter, is the defining set of laws that govern modern bankruptcy. Okay. There were two purposes of this. So number one is to provide consistency to the companies filing for protection under the law. And number two is to provide a framework under which a company can either reorganize or liquidate in an orderly fashion. Okay. Provide consistency to the companies filing for protection under the law, and provide a framework under which companies can either reorganize, which is Chapter 11, or liquidate, which is Chapter 7, in an orderly fashion. Got it. So describe the two ways a company files for protection under bankruptcy law. To my understanding, there's basically two ways here. There's a voluntary filing where the company itself says, all right, I probably will not be able to make payments to my creditors, or there's some type of contingent liability that I'm not able to pay back. I think contingent liability is just a liability that results from some type of event happening, so it's contingent on an event. And the other type of liability, or I should say the other type of the way company file for bankruptcy, is involuntary. That's basically when a creditor files on behalf of the company, basically saying, hey, look, we see you're in trouble and we need to take you to court in order to help you fix this. How does the underlying U.S. legal system work at a very high level for when a company files for bankruptcy protection? Okay, so to my understanding, right now, the US legal system, there's 11 state circuit courts, and then within these 11 circuit courts, there's a total of about 94 district courts. So there's the circuit level, and then there is the district level. So when it comes to the actual filing process, the bankrupt company, or the company that needs to file, they choose an appropriate circuit, and within that circuit they choose an appropriate district. Now the term appropriate, I think, has a very loose definition. I think in general it's the idea of, okay, where's your company headquartered, or where does the majority of your business take place? So that's how you can kind of think about what appropriate really means. So you've identified at this point a place to file, let's say a court to file. I think after this, the actual package you send has basic administrative information about what your company does, who your company is. It also includes a list of your largest creditors. So these guys are really the ones that probably have seniority in the capital structure, and they may have some type of secured either loan or bond. And I think we also learned about this in a previous chapter. The three common types of secured bonds are mortgage first bonds. There's also collateral trust bonds and equipment trust certificate bonds. And then when it comes to loans from a bank, from private credit, maybe from a syndicated group of banks or lenders, those structures can get pretty creative. You can back it up with some asset. You can secure with inventory, secure with another, let's say, accounts receivables. There's a lot of ways you can get creative with it. So that's one part, the top creditors. And then you'll probably also send some type of financial package. So this could be your revenues, your profits. Also really important is your current assets and liabilities. And that's something that can probably change over time. So at this point, you've sent in all of the packages. And after this point, I believe the term to call your company, it's like debt process. I don't remember the exact name. Bankruptcy in process. To my understanding, this is used to refer to the term to describe a company that is currently operated, or I guess under the supervision of the court, but operates business as usual. And typically there's going to be a U.S. trustee appointed to oversee this case, to oversee the company, make sure that they are in line with bankruptcy code. And finally, sometimes if there's really glaring issues with the management, maybe fraud, there is an examiner appointed by the U.S. trustee. So 11 circuit courts and 94 district courts in the U.S. federal legal court system. When a company enters bankruptcy protection, it files for protection at an appropriate circuit and in a district court within that circuit, right? And the filing sent to the court includes basic administrative information and a list of largest creditors. Included or sent within a few weeks is also the firm's financial information and the breakdown of assets and liabilities. After filing for protection under the bankruptcy code, the company becomes a debtor in possession. Okay, so this is the term, the debtor in possession. So debtor just refers to an organization that owes someone money. I guess in possession just refers to the idea that it's possessed or controlled, or maybe control is a pretty intense word, maybe overseen by, and can operate its business under the supervision of the court. The U.S. trustee for the particular district is appointed to the case and is to make sure all rules of bankruptcy protection are followed. Okay, an examiner can also be appointed to supplement by the trustee to investigate poor management. Okay, so I think that's good for now. That's the three I have added. So at this point, I think probably be a good idea. I just realized my screen is frozen. So this is a common mistake that I still have not gotten the hang of. Let's start reading. Okay. Generally, only a committee of insecure creditors. It's actually very hot. I need to. Oh, God. Oh, God damn it. This keeps happening. Ugh. Let me put the blinds on real quick. Ugh. That might be the strategy from now on. Alright, I need to go wash my hands. Hmm. Okay, so let me pour this out real quick. Okay. Strapped. So, I guess let's think about this question. So after a company filing bankruptcy has received a debtor in possession status by the court, just what are the next typical next steps, right? At this point, there should be a U.S. I don't know if it's the court or if it's so when filing for bankruptcy protection, this is tough condition. Deteriorating condition. At this point, receiving the debtor in possession status, the court, the appointed U.S. trustee will set up a committee unsecured creditors plan. We'll call it formulate a restructuring plan. How to deal with its deteriorating condition. Okay, I think that's a good way to put it. Alright. The appointed U.S. trustee will set up a committee of unsecured creditors to formulate a restructuring plan. I can't tell if this looks good to eat. It's kind of fuzzy. I must have eating for now. Alright, I still got some blueberries for myself. I'm gonna buy time. So at this point, after receiving the debtor in possession status, the appointed U.S. trustee will set up a committee of unsecured creditors to formulate a restructuring plan. Okay. That is fair to all classes. So we'll call senior, junior, and equity holders. Eventually approved by the courts and the company's claimants. So I guess these are the bondholders, the loans, I guess the creditors, and the stockholders of the company. which will eventually be approved by collaboration between all classes of investors, critical if get the bankruptcy process moving forward. Right. What is executory? What does executory mean? The bankrupt debtor in possession company can also choose to reject executory contracts that formalized but have signed, but the action underpinning the contract is currently or has not been taken in effect. Stock. It's up. Okay. Yeah, it's up, way up. From 162. Guess we'll see what happens here. Alright, almost at 24. Nice. Not too great here. Interesting. All right. The debtor in possession company can also choose to reject executory contracts. Contracts have been signed, but the action underpinning the contract is current. Taking effect. Okay. Alright, so I guess that's pretty good. So now that I'm skipping over some of the kind of specific examples. I guess it'll be nice to kind of get back to that at some point, but right now I'll probably Okay, yeah, I'll get back to that, to the specifics in another time. I feel like this chapter is worth revisiting again. So we talked about the overview of first when a company files for bankruptcy protection, and then after that, what happens after the company receives the debtor in possession. Status. So you form a committee. That committee is usually the unsecured debt holders, and that committee acts on behalf of all of the investors, the senior debt holders, the secured senior debt holders, the senior unsecured debt holders. Maybe even there's some mezzanine debt that's in the middle, junior debt holders, preferred shareholders, convertible note holders, common stock owners, anyone that is involved within the business. Okay, so after that, I guess just when they start working on the plan, turns out, like many things, the first draft is not the final draft. So a debtor with one or more subsidiaries must decide if the plan will incorporate substantive consolidation of subsidiaries. Substantive consolidation must be approved by the court. Interesting. Okay. Oh man, I still feel the sun beating down on me. Gotta change this real quick. Oh god, it's so bright. All right. Not too sure, but there's something mentioned here called the cram down, which is pretty interesting. But a lot of this stuff seems kind of public. Let's take a look. So Spirit Airlines bankruptcy, is docket. Davis, Paul, well, Alvarez and Marshall acting as H&E. So take a look. I have no, like, I don't know what to call it. I'm not looking for anything in specific because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at. But let's take a look. 615 pages. Okay. Oh, so okay, this is a lot more detailed than their SEC filings. Real property, personal property, total property. investments available for sale, net book value. I don't know if, I guess it's not market value. Damn, okay, so it has a bunch of accounts with a bunch of different, okay. Prepaid fuel, federal tax, insurance, IT expenses, rent. Aircraft. I guess that lease is probably so BAC. Oh, that's, yeah, that does sound familiar. BAC Honduras. Deutsche Bank. Okay. So a lot of Deutsche Bank. Why are these all the same? Scotiabank, okay. Lima, interesting. Oh, here we go, we're getting some numbers. Amount of claim, value of collateral that supports the claim. Do not. Apple Bank for savings. Okay. Interesting. So I guess this is an example of the amended global notes to schedules and statements. So I wonder if there is. Let's take a look here. What's this? Get document by code. This is the same thing. So I guess this is the reorganization plan. ETC. Equipment Trust Certificates. I don't know what the EE stands for. Enhanced Equipment Trust Certificates? Okay. Define terms, rules of interpretation, computation of time, governing law, and other references. Okay. DIP, super priority claims, trustee fees, classification, treatment, and voting of claims and interest, special provision, implementation of the plan, continue existing, and vesting of assets. Okay. Backstop commitment agreements. Oh man, okay, this is a lot of rules of interpretation. Section 510, impaired, entitled to vote. Senior secured priority claims pre-petition. So I'm surprised the senior secured notes claims presumed to reject. Not entirely sure. Like, how are these guys not impaired? %76% of the new equity interest, subject to dilution by the equity rights offering, including the equity rights offering shares, the equity rights offering holdback shares, and the backstop shares, the backstop premium shares, and the MIP interest, the senior secured note subscription rights after accounting for the equity rights. Yeah, this does seem a bit complicated. So let me just ask ChatGPT, our expert in restructuring, about what this means. Okay, let's take a look. Spirit restructuring plan. Okay, nice. Claims under pre-bankruptcy, pre-petition RCF, revolving credit facility. Okay, so that makes sense now. Like only the impaired can vote. So what happens during the bankruptcy process? After committees have been appointed and the bankruptcy plans has been finalized. Debtor, after a restructuring / reorganizing plan is finalized, the debtor will produce and file for approval a disclosure plan with court. Investors with the goal of informing investors on the current state of affairs, I guess, for the company. A disclosure statement is basically a long ass document that summarizes the plan, structuring plan, and the financials involved. Okay. Okay. Is then sent to the different claim holders who will approve/disapprove the plan. How should I put this? Only the claim holders that are impaired not recoup the full portion of their principal investment. So 2/3 of the amount and more than 1/2 of the number of claims allowed for voting purposes of each impaired class. More than 1/2 of the number of claims allowed for voting purposes of each impaired class. Okay, so I guess there's I think the book words this poorly, but once a disclosure is finalized and sent to impaired claim holders, how many of them? What would need to happen in order for it to get approved? At least 2/3 in amount and more than 1/2 in number. So, man, can you explain these two? You total up to the face value of claims I put in. So here's vote in class X. A yes. 6%. Okay. You got the number of voting creditors, not their dollar amount. Okay. So are the classes separated by seniority? Get security and seniority. So example, senior secured, junior guess preferred stockholders, common stockholders. Let's see. Other priority claims. Okay. Class 1, class 2, class 3. Got it. So I guess in the spirit one, existing interest. Okay, so it seems like the Spirit Airlines stockholders really got screwed here. Airlines stockholders. Let's take a look at Reddit. Wait a minute. Okay, 60. I don't think that's 60 cents. Oh shit, okay, that's still a lot. Oh man, that's rough. Okay, so at least the retail investors have spoken. They didn't get anything as a result of the restructuring plan, but it doesn't matter because it seems like it still passed. Let's take a look. If the disclosure is approved, then it will plan is approved, then the plan will be sent to the court for final confirmation, and if approved, the detailed plan will go into effect. Okay, so I think what are are the rules surrounding the approval of a restructuring plan? In other words, what would need to happen if, in order to get the plan approved by the company's claim holders? Okay. I guess one question I do want to ask is, if during the bankruptcy plan approval process, are the claim holders those that have invested prior to the chapter petition filing date, or does it include investors that have made after. Let's see. Sure, let's take a look. Trade creditors. It's 37, okay. Okay, wait, what's the difference between a claim? So you're saying the instruments Apollo is not buying the instruments. In this case, what is this? What is Apollo buying? Okay. U.S. bankruptcy code. Recover cash based on the debtor's default on a pre-partition note. Got it. So the older, say JP Morgan, is to sell it to Apollo. Okay. Oops. So I got a message. Let's see. I gotta charge my phone. Sorry, not my phone. My computer.
know you want me. Dangerous. You got me feeling so dangerous. Dangerous. Right, bathroom time. You're back. Alright, so what are the rules surrounding the approval of a restructuring plan? In other words, what would need to happen in order to get the plan approved by the company's claim holders? Okay, so in order to get the restructuring plan approved, the plan must be only the claim holders that are impaired will vote. The following must be true if the plan were to be approved. It's to be only the claim holders that are impaired will vote, not those that are not getting their full investment back. Yes. I guess their original investment back is a better way to say it. So more than, I'd say at least 2/3 of the claim holders representing at least 2/3 of the outstanding I don't know if it's the liabilities or if it's the assets. I should add, these claim holders are separated into different classes depending on the underlying security/seniority. So example, senior secured bond, should say class 1 is typically I think it's like other, right? Other claims. Other secured by collateral and paid first. Oh, shit. The claim holders in each class, amount each class, is the claim amount just the principal plus interest accrued? Is principal accrued for debt instruments, and equity claim amount for equity is the market cap. Let's see. Okay. Collective of senior secured bondholders with a total of I guess 60 million to the vote yes. Total claim of so they receive recovery only if okay, what was number 2 again? It was more than half in number. The number claim holders that vote yes in each class is at least half the number claim holders in their respective classes. 30 out of the 40 senior SSBs vote yes. Okay. Okay, so claims in for fixed income investors is equal to the principal plus accrued interest. Okay. Separate into different lines. Yeah, this is kind of like a hard thing. Hard to describe. I don't know how to put it, like in words. Oh. See, I think Rodrigo's there.
Here, it's she. It's she, that's okay. Allison, she was in the hospital. Yeah. It's not on every plan, yes, zero. Oh, wow. So there's a zero. I'm Asian, right? And something I wrote. Yeah, I went up to her family. And so then I came in last Thursday. And then, yeah, she showed her up. Yeah, it's here. Yeah. But I need a messenger. I have a messenger. You message me today? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know what a message is. On this weekend or? If you want the apartment, no, I'm kidding. Let me know, man. I don't know what you're gonna do, right? I should know what's a message. That's a conversation server. Yeah, I don't have to say it. It'll be like, hey, nice meeting you. Oh, yeah, nice meeting you. Hey, it was nice meeting you the other day. Yeah, do that first message. Sure. What were you guys talking about? It was, you know, I was taking them, I went, and I had a paper, so like, look at this little postcard here, it's great. And so I was writing here, like, I was asking questions. You know, me jokes. Yeah. And then, I was asking, oh, like, where do you work? So she works at me, like, for, like, you know, not the company I work for, but the working space. Yeah, it's like that. She works in there. I don't know how she is. But I mean, she didn't look too cool. I think she's still in college. Okay. You can like say, let's get that class first. Yeah. They're trying to bring her back. I guess a chef. Yeah. Yeah, alright. So you're making deals happen. You're a deal maker. I'm a deal maker, man. I'm a deal maker. You know what these companies know? They're just me like the way it is. I haven't touched them. But you try one. Are they good or? Yeah, try one. At least one. Just get some levels. She got the job under her now. No, the Central email dealers once I got signed. I got the email for the candidate job. But I think on Friday, Saturday, I'm gonna be using decisions. I think there's so the first place I'm going on Friday is in Queens, and the other one's in, I forgot what part of Brooklyn, but it's in somewhere further east of us. Yeah. See what happens. Nervous, but. Nah, I don't do each other. Here's you push with the bones. Thank God not this time. Yeah, it should be good. Yeah. Also, do you do every one of the work? No, I'm good. That's all good. Here, I don't get party. That's what you said, I'm off. You're still shooting? Yeah, I am. Just shooting for a little bit longer. Well, let's get back to it. Again? I haven't. I was probably gonna post some stuff later. Awesome. So, I'll cover vegetables and yeah. Yeah, I'm really fucking hungry, so I might have to cook steak. Alright, see you right now. Yeah.
Okay, so the number of claim holders that vote yes. Each class is at least half the number of claim holders in their respective classes. Okay, the number of claim holders that vote yes in each class is at least half the respective classes. Got it. Representing at least 2/3 of the outstanding claims in each class vote yes. Well, okay, I think that's pretty good. So let's move on. I think there's some pages here on like the actual analysis. So the analysis of companies in reorganization. Okay, so it says here that there's this idea of a vulture fund. It tries to pool resources and just buys out one of the claim holders, or I guess a class of claim holders. And it sounds like most of these vulture funds can only get some of the lower tier or lower classes. In this case, it was talking about the subordinated debentures. So that sounds like something that is less than the senior secured at least, and debentures themselves are, if you guys remember, it's like an unsecured bond, so there's no collateral in it. It's not even at the top of the capital structure, and turns out it didn't really work out for them. So I guess investing in individual securities. Oh man, these resources that it's talking about sound so ancient. I think this book was written maybe in the late 1990s, but it's talking about National Daily Quotation Service pink sheets published by the National Quotation Bureau. Oh god. What's value line? Huh. So they're even traded at 365 million. Okay. Okay. The most important documents for analysis of bankrupt securities are the most recent plans of reorganization, the accompanying disclosure statement. Okay. Okay, so investing with the plan of reorg. This is actually pretty difficult. Okay, so apparently this author is saying that there's opportunities in the secured bond space, especially those that can accrue interest even after the bankruptcy filing date. And it sounds like that So I guess there's something an astute investor could conceivably purchase a secured bond whose collateral exceeds the principal amount of the bond at a substantial discount to par. Reinstated or paid off at par plus post-petition interest. For example, assume that a company A acquires company B in a leveraged buyout for $550 million. Prior to the buyout, company B's capital structure consisted of equity and $300 million in subordinated debt, so that's $250 million. Okay, that's left over. Assume for the transaction was financed by $50 million equity, $500 million debt secured by the assets of company B. At first glance, when I say this, paid in full. The company's B's receiving a share in the remaining assets. Oops. Oops.
Quick update on our stickers in New York City. So as you... Did you know that a Times Square billboard... What's up, everyone?
Dun, dun, dun,
What's up,
dun, dun. Oh, shoot. Jamaica, Jamaica. Okay, interesting. Alright, let's get back to it. So this is kind of pretty complex, but there's now a example we could pull up. So let's go to Excel. Security Pacific National Bank will receive $15 million in cash. So Security, $15 million in cash. Let's see, where is that? $29 million 7-year secured note, $20 million secured revolving credit note, and $8 million for the sale of stock or assets of TUM. Issue 80 that to SPMB with a face amount of $8 million. Recognized debtor will then convey its right interest to the TUM stock to a trust for the benefit of SPMB and the reorganized debtor. The general unsecured creditors will receive 60% of the stock reorganized creditors. Debenture holders will receive 50% of the stock. Hold equity holders receive 10% of the stock and a final 10% is reserved for management. This allocation of common stock is pronounced 24. Okay. The analysis of creditors should be given to the debtors pro forma income statements, balance sheet. So here are claims and hex. Okay, let's go with this. So proposed equity ownership, Cardis, second amended plan. So class, unsecured creditors, subordinated debentures, present equity holders, reserved for management, guess amount, number of shares. Seven, 5, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3. I feel like I probably added way too many. Oh. Okay, now it works. Alright, and then percent of common stock. Here we go. Okay. Valuation. Multiples. I should estimate what range of multiples the stock should command in terms of earning sales.
price, sales per share, what's the book value per share, earnings per share. See 69, 6 shares per 1,000 face value. Okay, so I guess the bankruptcy process is pretty hard. I guess that's one of the takeaways here, because there's also a time element of it. Book of fixed income securities. PDF, let's see. Fourth edition. I think this one is okay. Third edition. Is this gonna fuck us up? Okay. Oh, Internet Archive. 7th edition. Let me see. Global Credit Bond Portfolio Management.
private money market instruments. So I don't see actually, I guess event risk, high yield bonds, default rates, bond fundamentals, commercial paper, non-convertible preferred stock. Okay, so they're not even added. It's not added in here at the investing in chapter 11. I think oh man, okay. I don't have it but with me today, but there's a book, Dark Side of Valuation. Oh, you have it. This book by DeModern. So when was this made? 2018. All right, it's good enough. Let's see. Dark Side of Valuation. Volatility rules, emerging market companies. Declining companies. Let's go to 431. Okay, so it seems like we're not getting too much from this book, honestly. It's not that helpful. Okay, so let's try to continue again with this sample. Okay, so one thing that the book does not have is the pro forma financial statements. So Cardis. Automotives. A second amended plan of reorganization. Okay, I might not be able to find this, I'm not gonna lie. It says back in 1989. 1989. Yeesh. Yeah. Okay, so what can we use this for? I think this is the, if you were an investor and we were to take a look at I guess these three, so we have three different types of securities or classes of securities we can invest in, and that's unsecured credit, subordinated debentures, or present equity holders. I think if we were to take the lens of the present equity holders, .2 new shares. Okay, so there's a thing here that says that the actual, oh shit. There's a key thing here that says the equity holders will get 0.2 of the new shares. So I guess even, oh shit, percent of common. So this rounds up. So this is, even though the present equity holders get 10% of all of the common shares, I think one of the old shares is equal to 0.2 of the new shares. So I think this right here is the final structure of what the company is going to look like after reorganization. Okay. Let's center this. Common stock. I guess common is good. Percent of common is good. Okay. Take a picture of this. It's not super helpful. Price range. I guess there's also this too, which is auto parts replacement industry, 1992 to 1994 value line estimates. So here we could use the multiples. So we use the company, price range, sales per share, book value per share, EPS, cash per share. Okay. So Cardis, Echelon, Federal, Mogul, Genuine Parts, SPX Corp. I've never heard of any of these. 20 to 31, 40 to 48, 56 to 72, 46 to 64. Yeah, I've never heard of any of these at all. A lot does change, and this is basically 30 years ago. More than 30 years ago. 10.43, 0.26, 0.16, 0.45, 2.75, 6.30, 4.25, and then 6.9. Okay. $32.75, 73.9, 60, and then 69.65, 13.5, 13.95, 18.0, 25.95. Oops. Okay. 1.8, 3.7, 3.85, 4.65. Okay. So let's highlight this. I guess when you look at this, it has the lowest number. Book value per share. So it means it has more, what do you call it? 45 cents. $0.26. So I guess you could look at this from a few different viewpoints. I think the author said we priced our, let me actually show how she does it. Estimated multiple for Cardis. I guess estimated share price. Okay, so the estimated share price was 0.54 to 9.56. Right, okay. So old share will receive an equivalent of 20. Oh, getting a call real quick. Hello? Hey. What's that? Not yet. Okay, so estimated share price of 54 cents to $9.56. Okay, so we'll do this. So current equity share price is 6 cents. That's just given us the scenario. Cardis common Cardis equity valuation. Okay. So estimated share price will be
So about 54 cents, $9.56. And then there's kind of like a redemption conversion 0.2. So that's just referring to one share of the old equity will convert to 0.2 shares of the new equity. Okay, so estimated share price. So we multiply this by 20%. I believe we get 10.108. 11. Wait a minute. I'm surprised it gets to. Oh, shit. Okay, let me. Just based off pure multiples, call it valuation, value discount, 50%, because of Cardis problems. The firm should discount the price by 50%. Okay, so estimated share price. So share price 0.7278. Okay, so here we get to about 0.05 to 0.96. Is potential dilution. %, estimated share price is 0.04 to 0.0883. So I'm not entirely sure. They say something about there's a dilution of 13%. If the management, let's see, so 16%. If the reorganized debtor exercises right under certain circumstances to put 1,890,000 common shares in exchange for the new preferred stock. So what if we add this together, get 13,000 divided by okay, wait a minute. So subordinated debentures, present equity holders. So 8%, 8.6. Times 0.87. So I guess it's okay, I see. Exchange for preferred stock. I guess this increases the total number of shares outstanding to 13.4 million, up from 11.6 million. Okay. So let's create a little scenario for this. So given the following, consider the company Cardis that just filed the car parts retailer Cardis that filed for bankruptcy in 1989 and created a restructuring plan that would form a new operating company with a new capitalization under a new capital structure, I guess, detailed below. using the data from above and the knowledge of and the estimated share prices below, walk through the steps of how an analyst would value the common equity in Cardis during bankruptcy process. I guess that's like a fair question to ask, right? So let's see. Ooh, 7 minutes. Not bad, not bad. Oops. So during the bankruptcy and then I guess I'll add this to like the full thing here. From the Cardis equity valuation picture, we can see that the current stock price of, I'll call it Cardis stock price, is trading at about 6 cents per share. So if we think, so if our valuation suggests that the per share price should be higher, then a investment would be prudent. Okay, so now actually getting into how we got to these numbers. The first estimated specifically describe how the estimated share price is calculated during each step. Is estimated using the pro forma financial statements disclosed for the new operating company and average industry multiples. To come up with a price range. I guess the second estimated share price estimated by applying a valuation discount 50% to the previous share price because of the distress Cardis is going through. The third share price is estimated by applying a valuation, we'll call this a conversion factor of one old stock, 4.2 new stock, and then finally the fourth share price is estimated by applying by applying the potential dilution if Cardis issues an additional to 1.8 million common shares if it for preferred stock. Also included in disclosure. Okay. So I think that's a good step-by-step framework of how we can value this Cardis company that was going through bankruptcy. That's very high level, but I think it gets some of the underlying concepts there. Ooh. Okay. It's like some weird color in this blueberry thing. Alright. So I think that this is probably where I'll end it for now. I'm kind of hungry, so I gotta eat some stuff. Do Cardis bankruptcy. Okay. So yeah, gonna head out for now. But thank you guys for tuning into the stream. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.